Hi guys, so this is going to be a completely different vlog than obviously anything I've ever done for my channel, but I figured why not do it because I did try and film a video about cystic fibrosis a couple weeks ago, but I was completely out of focus through the whole video, so it was shot, but then my health started kind of going downhill. And as you can tell, I am in a lovely hospital room, which I will talk about in a minute. But I did do 3 weeks of home care, and unfortunately that didn't do much because it's just that wonderful time of year when everybody is sick and they think I caught the flu because I did not get my flu shot this year. So I am reaping the benefits of having the flu. So they did check for pneumonia as well, but thank God I didn't have any sign of pneumonia. So because the 3 weeks didn't do exactly what it usually does, just because at this time of year, I have to be in the hospital now as an inpatient for 2 weeks, which is normal for somebody who does have cystic fibrosis. So I'm going to show you around this room. Hold on one second. So here's the door when you walk in, and the floor walking into the room. You'll see a sink right here. And then you come over this way. This is my lovely IV bowl that I'm connected to, obviously at the moment. In my bed, and the window, and a couple chairs, a little bitty TV up there. Nothing too exciting. The view's nice. I can't really complain too much about the view. Right now I am on meropenem. That's one of my antibiotics, and then I think this might be an empty one, but the other one is vancomycin. This is my breathing machine that I use 4 times a day, every day. I'll probably show you how I do that while I'm inpatient. Then last but not least, this is the bathroom. Nothing exciting here at all whatsoever. Basically, I will be in here for 2 weeks. My lung function dropped from, well, when I first began treatment on home care for 3 weeks. I'm gonna try to keep a long story short. Actually, when I filmed my Halloween tutorial doing my skull is when everything kind of started happening. I think I even mentioned in the video that I wasn't feeling well. So that's kind of when I started not feeling too good, and I ended up going on home care, and I went on home care at about a 50, 52, somewhere around there, PFT, pulmonary function test. And after about a week I went up to a 57 or so and kind of just sat at that number. Didn't really get any higher, which for me is kind of unheard of when it comes to my health. So they think what happened was I was starting to get better, and then I caught something, which, like I said, it's about to be December, so nothing out of the ordinary. Plus I had just started a job a couple months ago, so being around a whole bunch of people isn't going to help my situation. So then I had to see my main doctor, and we knew that the plan was to come in for 2 weeks. And to be honest, it was time, and I knew it, and I just want to start feeling better. So I wasn't opposed to it. The only issues I have is this room. Okay, so this isn't like the normal cystic fibrosis floor in this hospital. It's on a different floor in a different unit, and the rooms are bigger, and it's just a much nicer room. The accommodations in the room, just the little things, like having a side desk by your bed, an actual thermostat in the room where you can change the temperature of your room. These bathrooms, they used to not have doors on them. They used to have curtains. Apparently this used to be like the psychiatric floor years and years and years ago. So they finally did get doors, but it doesn't lock. And I might sound like a petty bitch right now and complaining about the small things, but it is the small things that make the hospital stay a little bit easier, due to the fact that my chest port is on this side, my IV pole has to be plugged in on this side, and all my things have to be on this side. Like I said, I don't have a side table with drawers. I don't have anything to put any of my stuff in. And you gotta pack for 2 weeks when you come here. So I got a lot of clothes. And then I've been freezing. I got here yesterday around 4 o'clock. I have been freezing my ass off in this room. I think they finally changed the temperature. And when I say they, I mean the nurse has to call somebody, that somebody has to call somebody, and that somebody, when they get around to it, will change the temperature of your room. And they said 9 times out of 10, they'll turn it up too high. It'll feel like a sauna in here, okay? And then I'll have to call my nurse back, they'll have to call that person back, and then they'll turn it too low. So they said it takes like 3 or 4 times for the room to even get to a comfortable temperature. So that's frustrating, not having like the ability to be able to control the temperature in my room. It's just frustrating. You know, the TVs are smaller in here, just the room in general is smaller in here. If I was only going to be here, say maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe even a week would be pushing it, but I would just put up with it and stay here. But when we come in, sometimes we even have to stay over 2 weeks. So that's why the other floor that we have here, this is University of Cincinnati Hospital. That's why they kind of have a floor dedicated to just the CF patients, because they are a little bit bigger, they are nicer, and it's much more comforting, and there's just so much more room. I don't know, but if I get changed rooms, and obviously you guys will see that, but probably the only people that would even understand where I'm coming from right now are the other CFers, or anybody that's in and out of the hospital a lot, like me and other cystic fibrosis patients. A lot of CF patients, we become allergic to these antibiotics, and therefore it gets to a point where you have to be desensitized to it, and if you fail desensitization, then that drug you cannot use unless it's a life or death situation, which for me is ciprofloxacin. I cannot use that drug, and that used to be a miracle drug for me. The body just gets too smart for the drug. It knows how to fight back, and therefore you become resistant to it, you become allergic to it, and you can't take that med anymore. So that's the unfortunate part about living with cystic fibrosis, is you kind of run out of options as you get older. I, however, fight through the drug reactions that I have to certain drugs that I use, and my reactions aren't as bad as they could be, at least right now at the moment they're not. I get something called Red syndrome, where my whole body will turn bright red, the whites of my eyes will turn red, I'll run fevers, I'll get real itchy. I've never went into full anaphylaxis before, thank you Lord Jesus. But I do have to take a lot of Benadryl in order to be able to use certain medications, which is okay, I'm just drowsy a lot. So last night, they gave me the Benadryl before I'm taking, like I said, the vancomycin, and about an hour later I was bright red, which is why I'm wearing the oxygen, because they want to know if my oxygen drops or whatnot. So obviously the Benadryl orally did not help very well. And they gave me, for the first time in my life, I've had IV Benadryl, but they gave me a double dose of IV Benadryl. I felt high as a mother. I was like looking around the room like, whoa, like it was crazy the way that I felt. So I don't like feeling like that. I felt like I couldn't move. Like everything was like swirling around me, like I felt dizzy. It was a really weird feeling. I hated it. And I was like, I really don't want to have to do this every time I take this medication to fight off these reactions. And she said, well, what they do is, and I forget the word, what they do is give you a higher dose, which it's like around like 1,500 something. I don't know how to really explain it. But basically it was 1,500, is it like milligrams? What is it? So they give you a higher dose, I guess, just to get things going and moving. They give you basically a double dose of the med the first time you take it, which for somebody who has allergies to it and allergic to it, that's not good. So it was 1,500 mg, and then, but here on out, every dose will be 750. So this morning when they gave me the vancomycin, I was able to tolerate it with just the oral Benadryl, which is great. So they still want to keep an eye on the allergy. Like I said, wear this, take my blood pressure often just to make sure, check my heart rate, you know, just the typical stuff that you would think of if you're having like a severe allergic reaction to something. The other thing I have to do here is get my blood sugar taken. A lot of CFers have a CF related diabetes, and thankfully I do not, but a lot of times if you are sick, your blood sugar spikes. So I just have to get finger sticks like before I eat and 2 hours after I eat, no big deal. And that's usually done within 3 to 4 days after I'm in, and if everything is normal, which typically is always normal for me. They got my order wrong on my food this morning. That's always kind of a bummer. So we have room service here. You pick up the phone, you have a menu, you order your food, and it comes up within 45 minutes to an hour. And it's like when they forget something or your order's wrong. I mean, you only have so much to look forward to in a hospital, okay? And food is like one of them. So when they screw up your order, it's such a bummer, but let's be for real, like there are people that are starving in the world, like Christy, get over it, you know? So this whole time I'm gonna kind of be vlogging and explaining and showing, there it goes, explaining and showing you kind of the daily thing that goes on when you're in a hospital. To me, I've always been kind of a loner, and I deal with a lot of things on my own. Not because people don't want to be there for me, it's just really. So I'm just gonna kind of give you the insight on being in the hospital and what it takes. And like I said, I've always been kind of a loner. That's just me. I deal with a lot of things on my own. I don't like to drag other people, you know, down or feel sorry for me. So this to me is a great way to take some time out while I'm in the hospital and keep me occupied, other than the usual, you know, watching stuff on my phone or TV or texting or being on social media or whatnot. So yeah, I'm catching you up. It's around 11:30, so basically this is the excitement that goes on in here. So until I have anything else to show you or talk about, I'll see you later. I was originally supposed to go on vancomycin, meropenem, and Levaquin, or levofloxacin. Like I can only take that drug, here we go, every time. I cannot take Cipro unless it's a life or death situation. So because, I'm gonna call it Levaquin because that's the other name for it, is related, like in the same family, I know it sounds weird, but in the same family as Cipro, I'm very highly allergic to that as well. So pharmacy had made a decision a couple days ago to like not even let me take the Levaquin. So I've been on vancomycin and meropenem. And then yesterday I look and I had a bag empty of Levaquin on my IV pole. I'm like, holy crap, that's awesome, because I was able to tolerate it with just an oral Benadryl before taking the meds. So that's cool. I haven't been on Levaquin since 2013. That's the last time I had taken it. And I tolerated it then, and I fight through the reactions and whatnot, but I'm tolerating it now. So, and what's cool is I didn't have that fear of like, am I gonna have a reaction, or you know how your mind can play tricks on you? So me kind of not knowing that I was on it, I think was kind of a good thing, you know? So that's like really, really good news for me. I'm hoping that these reactions and everything will stop either today or tomorrow, and I can wean myself off the Benadryl, because Benadryl basically just dries you up, you know, and dries everything up. And for CFers, we need to cough out these secretions that are causing the infections in our lungs, and Benadryl kind of does the complete opposite and dries us up. So that's why they want to take you off the Benadryl, or I need to get off the Benadryl. So hopefully that can happen, and when that happens, I'll probably start feeling better, not as drowsy, because the Benadryl kind of just like knocks me out. But I think that's great news. So if any of you are allergic to your medications, fight through the reactions if you can. I know some of you CFers, my sisters in fibros, I know some of you have way worse reactions and allergies than I do, and you're kind of in the same boat as I am with the Cipro. It's like a life or death thing. Is the only time you would ever be able to take that, because it's, you know, it's so bad. But if you can fight through all the stuff that comes along with it, like I said, typically for me, after day 3 or 4, I'm kind of in the clear. It's just getting through the first 3 or 4 days. But I will try and vlog more. I'm sure I'll fill up to it now, because I think I'm getting a little bit better. So I'll be back. Family came to see me both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, my dad and stepmom came to see me. And then Sunday, my mom, my stepdad, and my husband came and spent the day and watched the Bengals game. And so that took up a majority of my time. Still not off the little pulse ox thing that you guys have been seeing. They actually went from, I think the last time I talked to you, so they started me at 1,500 milligrams of the vancomycin, then they dropped it to 750, and then they raised it again to 1,000, and I was able to tolerate it. But then yesterday they upped it to 1,500 again, and last night I had a reaction. So it was a little bit of a rough night. I had to do the double dose of Benadryl, of IV Benadryl again. I'm hoping that they don't raise me again. Hopefully I stay at the 1,500, but I don't know, we'll see. This is what I just received from all the girls at work. Oh my God, they are so beautiful. Get well soon. We miss you, from everyone at Mandy's Dog-O-Mat. Thanks, guys. I love them. Yesterday I went down for a PFT, and I have made about a 3 or 4% progress with my lung function, so that's definitely a great sign. I got my little oxygen thing off my finger. I have noticed no reactions. They started running the vancomycin with the sodium chloride with it, so it kind of dilutes it a little bit, but all my blood work shows that it's still in my blood enough to be doing its job, so that's a positive thing. Didn't have any fevers yesterday, and I just think overall it was a pretty good day. I started noticing that I actually do feel a little bit better, so that is a great thing. I tend to only get cold sores when I'm like really sick and my lung function drops. It's so weird. I think that actually happens to a lot of just people in general. So the fact that it's almost gone, that's a positive thing, because those little bastards hurt. So I think we are on a positive incline here. As far as today, I started running a fever, so that was kind of a bummer. And so I was able to take a nap or whatnot. But then I woke up like smoking hot, so I know that it finally broke, which is a good thing. But I wonder why I'm running a slight fever again, so that kind of sucks. I think that they want to do a blood culture out of my port, so just to see if there's any type of infection in the actual port or in the port line or whatnot. I've never had an infection in my port. That would definitely be something new to me, but it's treatable if it's not too bad, so we'll see if they end up doing that. There was a CFer that passed away today. She was pretty well known in the CF community. She's had 2 double lung transplants. Went into rejection, I believe, a couple months ago. I'm not exactly sure. It's always hard to know somebody who has CF and who's battling. She was 27 years old. So I think a lot of us get scared. It's hard because, as weird as it is, like, we cannot be around each other because we can pass germs and different things like Pseudomonas and MRSA and things like that back and forth to each other, which in a way makes us sicker. But anyway, even though we can't physically be around each other, I feel like we still know each other. And I've learned over the years that I can't get close to a lot of CFers anymore because it's so hard when they start getting sicker and the disease progresses and then they pass away. It's hard. I think I'm pretty close to about 3 or 4 local CFers from Cincinnati. And then several that aren't from Cincinnati, but it's always just like so hard to really know somebody and that they pass. So anyway, today's kind of a bummer. I can't wait till the weekend because that's when I get my company and everything. That's kind of the update that has happened in the past couple of days. So I'll see you later.